Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Thursday, the 22nd of December, comes to you from Aqaba in Jordan. And basically, the market's pretty quiet at the moment. US markets have struggled to make new highs. We made new highs a few days ago, but we're pulling back. The Dow just not making that 20,000 level that everyone's talking about. We'll start by looking at currencies, then stock markets, and last of all, some commodities. So first of all, the dollar just flat at the moment, and we're heading into the Christmas period now. Not a lot of liquidity in the markets generally, and we're seeing here on the euro we have sold off. We did make those new lows, we did activate these downside targets which you've talked about. This is pretty bad for the euro, but we're just now seeing a little bit of a relief move here back above the clouds, so we're just turning into bullish short term. Does mean that we've got a bit of a relief rally. No clear upside targets yet on this chart. The 1 minute charts will show some short term upside targets, but don't be surprised to see this chart turning bearish again fairly soon. That's the thing with downtrends. Any counter trend moves tend to be short lived and not very big. So if we take a look at the yen also pulling back. We're just seeing the dollar just coming off the highs basically. And at the moment, it's still bullish for the dollar against the yen, but we're just pulling back into a flat range at the moment. We do have these upside targets, 3% upside clustering at that sort of 121 mark, but at the moment, we're just pausing for breath. If we take a look at sterling, much the same picture. Dollar strength still governing here, 123.57. So sterling is really just teetering along the floor here at the moment. We've got a new downside target here of 120.07, which is activated if we see new lows below the low we saw just a few days ago. So interestingly, sterling ending the year really on a low note and has been pretty bearish all round. Really finding this cloud resistance here on the daily chart. If I just enlarge that chart, you can see here how the lagging line has run into the cloud and just pulling away. So sterling moving back below the cloud on the price, looking like we are going to move below this 120 level pretty soon. Taking a look at sterling GDP, it's about 118 at the moment. So sterling had gained a bit of strength against the euro, but the last few days has been selling off. We've got a downside target to 116. So euro and sterling weakness against the dollar, very much the theme running into next year. And if we look at the Swissy, much the same story against sterling. Sterling recovered a bit, but now just falling away again and bearish on this one, back to 126 there as well. Not great if you're skiing in Switzerland this season. And so if we just have a last look at the sterling dollar rate, this is the Aussie dollar. Here we are just seeing a little bit of strength again on sterling creeping in, but flattening. So Aussie dollar was weaker, having been stronger all throughout most of this year. Now just sterling gaining a little bit of strength, but it's a very flat gain here. If we take a look at the US stock market, the S&P 500 index fell off about 0.25% last night. Very thin trading now as we go into the Christmas period. Flatlining basically. New high above the high we saw last week would give us 8% upside, but at the moment we're just flatlining, waiting for the next move up. And the NASDAQ, much the same picture, but holding this 4,900 level, which was the key breakout level on the NASDAQ 100, holding that pretty clearly. Again, just this flatlining. Don't forget, markets tend to go up, sideways, and then up again. So when we get the next break, we'd expect the next move up. And we've got upside targets as much as, well, we've got 4% upside clustering at about 5,160. So does look like NASDAQ will have a good move into the new year. The Russell 2000 index has been pretty strong. This since the Trump election, and basically we're seeing here that again we're just flatlining, waiting for the next move. This is looking very much like an ascending triangle on the point and figure chart, so and upside targets. So we're just pausing for breath. And of course the big story at the moment is, will the Dow break 20,000? I think there's little doubt that it's going to. We've got bullish targets on pretty well all the charts, and it's bullish on all three time frames. It's just a matter of time. If it's not going to happen before Christmas, it's going to happen pretty soon after. The future's just ticking up a little bit this morning. The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ index, the NASDAQ E-mini, just ticking up slightly, suggesting the market might open slightly higher, but very hard to gauge anything at the moment in this thin trading. Keep an eye on the 1 minute charts. If you're really set on these levels being broken, then the 1 minute charts are going to show the targets first. The FTSE 100 index looking still pretty good. Just struggling to break the 7,100 mark that we saw in October. As soon as we break that, the market should run, but it's looking pretty bullish on all three time frames as well. The DAX had a little bit of a fall off yesterday, but really it's holding on to its gains as well. Markets have been pretty strong ever since the US election, and the reality is we're holding on to the gains, so that's seen as positive. We're not pulling back dramatically in any shape or form. And again, Nikkei just overnight struggled a little bit, but it's only down 0.5%, which is nothing in the scheme of the moves that we've seen of late. Moving straight to commodities. First of all, we take a look at Brent crude. We see here that Brent just did fall off a little bit yesterday, but interestingly, we and with prices below the cloud, but the lagging line has found support. We do have a new downside target here if we move lower, of about 5% downside, but we are heading into the strong time of year. This is what we expect to see in the first half of the year, the summer driving season. So we expect Brent to have a pretty strong start to the next year. Taking a look at gold. Gold is really just still struggling to get off the floor here. It's at this 130 level. Got a new downside target of 1100. That's 2.6% downside, and we've had this 1088 hanging here for a while. Just struggling to get above the cloud, but we are still above on the lagging line. Will we find support here and get our new year rally? That's the big question. And if we look at silver, much the same picture there as well. So that's it for today. Not really much happening in the markets. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.